It's Tuesday. I don't think I filmed any clips for this vlog yet, which is fine because it would have just started yesterday and I didn't really have anything to film yesterday. But I did just want to update this vlog really quickly and kick off week 3 of Bookoplathon. So very exciting stuff. I have finished the audiobook that I was listening to, which was Heartland by Sarah Smarsh, and I ended up giving it 4 stars, okay? I really liked it. The only issues that I had with it were issues that I think I've already discussed in last week's vlog, so I will link that if you missed it. But basically, Heartland is a memoir about a woman who grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and she talks about rural poverty, and she was like a 3rd generation child of a single teen mom. And so she talks a little bit about that and what it's like to have your grandma be 34, or be like in her 30s when you're like 10, which is interesting. But I really, really liked that book. It is written by Sarah Smarsh from the like in second person, as if she's writing it to a child that she would have had as a teenager had she... My hair is doing some crazy stuff right now. I'm so sorry. What is this? She writes it as if she's writing to a child she never had, basically, which didn't really work for me super well. A lot of the negative reviews that I've seen, or like mid reviews that I've seen, have complained about that. So I'm not going to go too far in depth in it here because I've already talked about it especially. It didn't always bug me, but sometimes she would do it and it was very jarring just because it was just kind of odd. It was an odd choice and I don't think it fully worked. But I really enjoyed her perspective of poverty. I really liked that she like grew up on a farm, so she talks about like rural poverty. She also talks about the transience of poverty and how she, I think she said 19 schools by the time she graduated high school. Or no, she'd moved 19 times within 2 counties in Kansas by the time she graduated high school. And like she'd been to 8 schools in 8th grade and all this different stuff about that you don't necessarily think about unless you're going through it, how if you don't own the land that you're on, you're just moving. I don't think that's necessarily unique to rural poverty. I, in fact, think it's more unique or more categorical of like urban poverty. But I did think that was really interesting because I'm a person, like I moved once when I was a kid. And I was like 9 when I moved, and then my parents sold the house we moved into when I was in college and moved to where they live now. But when I was a kid, when we moved like, here was my old house, here was like a busy street, and here's a busy street. We moved like down this busy street into a neighborhood right up here. So it was like the same schools, everything. So I just think that's something that's really interesting that I don't really think about, or that I hadn't previously really thought about. She also talks about like mental illness and mental health in poverty, and especially like with the times, but like no one in her family, she had her grandmother, or her great grandmother, I think, her grandmother's mother was schizophrenic and just didn't have medicine because she just couldn't afford it. And that's people's reality right now, which I understand. But I just thought she brought up a lot of interesting points that I don't feel like are talked about as much as some other things. She also brought up some things that, I don't know, I live in Kansas City, Missouri now, and so the book mentions Kansas City being like the big city of Kansas, even though it's on the Missouri side, but still. That's a book that I finished and I gave 4 stars. I have since picked up another audiobook, which is A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. And this is a YA book about a girl who's processing trauma, and her way of processing trauma is that she just starts running when she gets triggered by something. We know what happens to trigger her PTSD. We don't know what caused her PTSD. I was trying to figure out how to word that. But she decides she's going to run from her home in Seattle all the way to Washington, D.C. I barely started this. I listened to it on my walk to work this morning. My walk to work is about 10 minutes, which means I've probably listened to about 25 minutes of this audiobook so far. It's only a 9-hour audiobook, so I should be able to finish it this week. We'll see. God willing. Neither of those things, though, are for Bookoplathon. What I'm reading for Bookoplathon right now is The 10,000 Doors of January. And I just did reading sprints on my channel. If you don't know, I do reading sprints every Tuesday night, 7 to 9. So hop on if you want. Super fun. No one ever joins, but I like doing them, so I do them by myself. There's occasionally commenters in the last sprint. That's what always happens. So I think what I've learned from this is that I need to actually sprint from 9 until midnight. I just can't do that for my mental health and for other reasons. I gotta go to bed. But the 10,000 Doors of January, in case I haven't explained it, or in case you didn't watch my last vlog or you don't know what it's about, whatever. It's a YA historical fantasy about a girl named January who is raised by this wealthy man, Mr. Locke. Her father works for Mr. Locke, and he basically travels the world and finds like artifacts from Mr. Locke, who keeps some of them in his house, which is kind of like a museum, and then sells or trades them for other things. And he's a part of this archaeological secret society thing. That's the premise of that's like the blanket premise. The plot of this book is that January, when she's about 7, finds this door that leads to another world, and then she sort of forgets about it because she's becoming a lady, and something happens later where her father goes missing and might be dead, and she finds out that maybe the doors are real. She finds this book, and the book talks about the doors. So part of this book is written as a book within a book, which is like, how do I explain this? So at first we're just with January, and then she finds this book about like the magical portal door things. And then we alternate chapters between being with January and her very miserable, sad life and being in the head of this woman, Adelaide, I think is her name. She's the person in the book who is finding these doors to other worlds and exploring them. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this whole part was extremely boring for me. This is probably about 15 to 20% of the first half of the book, and I really didn't like it. Then this book took a turn into a trope that I really dislike. I'm not gonna tell you specifically what it is because I don't wanna spoil it, but basically it's the kind of thing like when a character is in a situation and they're telling the truth, but no one will believe them. And so you in your head are like, okay, obviously no one is going to believe you. You're going to have to figure out a way out of this. But they're not doing that. Does that make sense? That happened for a lot of the book, for a lot of the first half, or like, not a lot, but probably like 8%. And so I was skimming whole chapters trying to get out of the situation because I knew she was gonna have to get out of it. I just didn't know how she was going to get out of it, and I didn't really want to read about it anymore. It's frustrating for me to read. I don't like that kind of thing. I didn't want to read it. I almost DNF'd this book because of another thing that happened, but I'm glad I didn't because it ended up being fine. But the first half of this book, I think I got to like 49.7% before I started being like, oh, this is getting good. So reader be warned. I also have already talked about this in my last vlog as well. The writing style in here is very flowery. I would say almost too flowery for the lack of plot. Now that the plot is building up for me, I think I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm like 65% of the way through this book. And the plot is definitely picking up speed. So now I'm liking it a lot more. But that's my very long intro and updates to catch you up on what I'm reading right now. But I did want to let you know I'm not going to work tomorrow, so I'm hoping to edit my vlog that needs to go up on Thursday, and then also edit the video that's supposed to go up on Sunday because I'm going to be out of town on Sunday, and then maybe I'll film another video that can go up the next Sunday. I don't know, but that's the plan. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm sorry I missed my upload on Sunday, like last Sunday. It's because I filmed the video that I'm going to edit to put up next Sunday, but I didn't feel like editing it, and then we had to go take our engagement pictures, and I just ran out of time and didn't want to do it. So that's what happened. But what was I going to say? Oh, the reason I'm not going into work tomorrow is because I find out if I passed the bar or not tomorrow. So I have a feeling if I pass, there will be some fun video content. And if I don't pass, I will likely not film because I intended to film something Sunday night, and the engagement photos were fine, but I came back and I was really cranky because I was starving, and there was a shooting at the Taco Bell by us, which no one was hurt. They were just shots fired, so they closed off the entire street, so we had to go the long way home, and we almost got lost, and it was just this whole thing, and we didn't get Taco Bell, so I had to like eat leftover vegan hot dog that had been in the fridge for like 2 weeks. Please don't come for me. But I was not having a good time on Sunday, and I didn't film anything because of it, and yesterday I didn't film anything either, obviously, so I'm hoping for other reasons too. So if you don't know, the bar exam is a test that you have to take after you graduate law school to decide if you're actually going to be a lawyer. And I took the UBE, which is the Uniform Bar Exam, and a bunch of states have adopted that, meaning that you take it in the jurisdiction that you want to be licensed in first, but then you can transfer that test score to other states, assuming that other states have a threshold test score that you got above, if that makes sense. So Missouri, thankfully, has the lowest threshold test score. It's a 260, which means that if I made a 280, I think 280 is the highest required score of any state, then I could be licensed in any state. I have to pay dues and like go through, there's other stuff you have to do, but I won't have to take the bar to be licensed in that state. I hope that makes sense and that you care. But I'm gonna go watch F-Boy Island with my fiance because we're obsessed with that show, and I'm probably gonna make cookies, and then I'm gonna go to bed at some point, and I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll find out if I passed the bar or not. I'm not gonna do a live reaction because I'm terrified that I failed, and I really don't want to catch myself crying on camera. So I'll see you tomorrow. Sorry I look the way I look. I don't know why I look like this. But it is Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I didn't have work today, so we went to lunch at this Mexican restaurant near us and got margaritas, and then we walked to a record store / bookstore. So I have a little bit of a haul to show you here in a second. And I passed the bar. I don't know if I already mentioned that or not, but I did pass. So I'm very excited. I don't have to worry about that anymore. That was a very stressful time. That's all good news. But I did want to just quickly show you my book haul. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, I think, and do it that way. I'm also on, I'm watching Sav from Riveting Reads Sprints right now, and I'm gonna edit the video that's supposed to go up, or the 2 videos that are supposed to go up. One goes up tomorrow, and then one is supposed to go up on Sunday while I'm out of town. If I could just grab these books, my life would be a lot easier, but they're slipping away from me. I'll do it this way. So the first book that I picked up from that bookstore was Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This cover is very interesting. It's not a cover that I've seen for this book before. I'm not going to lie to you, though. I don't know what this book is about, really, but I have heard about it a lot, and this is an author I've heard about a lot, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it. I also picked up Music for Wartime by Rebecca Mackay. I don't know what this is about either, but I really like this cover too, and this has been on my TBR for a while. I cannot remember why. I think this is literary fiction. So, sorry, you can see my fan reflected. This is kind of a reflective cover, like a library almost, because it's got that like plastic wrapping around it, but I'm excited to read this one at some point as well. And then we have Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, and I believe this is a nonfiction philosophy book about like different philosophies that people have used to search to make meaning in their lives, perhaps, something like that. This I know a little bit more about than the other ones, and I'm not sure if it's going to be my thing, but I have heard that this is really impactful for people who like it. I'm not a very like spiritual type person. I don't really think we need to have meaning, but I'm excited to read this nonetheless. I think it'll be interesting. And lastly, I have The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which I believe is, it says the first great novel to imagine time travel. Yeah. So I was going to say I thought this was a novella, but I mean, it's short regardless. But yeah, this is apparently the first novel that addresses time travel. And I'm really interested in time travel. If you know my like particular taste in tropes, a trope that I really enjoy, or like a subgenre, I guess, of science fiction is time travel or like multiple universes, time jumps, that kind of thing. Even in like contemporary, I like a time travel element. So I am hoping to enjoy this since this is like the foundational book on time travel or whatever. And I've never read any H.G. Wells. I know he also wrote War of the Worlds, and I don't know what else, but he's an author that I've been interested in reading from for a while, and I'm excited to get to this one. I also really like this cover. So I was pleasantly surprised to find this and snag it up as well. So that was my little book haul. The only other update that I really have reading wise. I am like 80% of the way through the 10,000 Doors of January. And what kills me about this book is there are parts of it that I really love. Like there are parts that are so well written and so like emotionally impactful that I've like teared up. But overall, I don't really love the book. I feel like it's going to get a 3-star because I love certain parts. But if not, it would probably get a 2-star if those parts weren't included, if that makes sense. And also it's at a point in the book where I think I'm like 82% of the way through. And it keeps feeling like it should end, and it just doesn't. And so I am curious to see how it ends up winding up, but I'm also like, I'm not a big fan of this one. So it's realistically like a 2.5 star, but I'm probably going to end up giving it 3 stars on Goodreads because we all know I love to round up. But anyways, I am going to edit that vlog and the vlog and the video that I have going up tomorrow. So hopefully I can have both of those ready to go for while I'm out of town. Which I'm going to vlog while I'm out of town, so you'll see that, but I just have to prepare my life here for that situation. And then I will let you know when I finish that book and when I roll another book. I haven't listened to any more of the audiobook that I have since I last updated you on it. It's Friday, and I am getting ready because we're about to leave for Nashville for my friend's wedding, so that's really exciting. It's about 8:45. It's a little later than I wanted it to be. But I just wanted to let you know that I finished the book that I was reading. So I finished the 10,000 Doors of January last night. There's a lot, like with ebooks, it doesn't say what page you're on, it just says what percent of the book that you're through. And so I was confused because I thought it was almost over when I was hitting like 80%, and it was almost over. That was realistically more like 90% of the actual book, but there's like a bunch of stuff at the end of the ebook. So I finished it. I really do think, I haven't like fully decided, but I feel like I'm probably going to give it 3 stars just because nothing about it feels like it's going to stick in my brain, because nothing was really sticking in my brain while I was reading it. Like every time I put it down, I would read it and like have a good time reading it, but when I would put it down, I wasn't like dying to pick it back up. And there was just so much in that book that I don't love. Like I was really bored at parts. I thought that the way things came together, that they could have come together a different way. I don't really know if I'm explaining this well, but I just sort of left the whole reading experience feeling kind of like confused and a little just like meh. So it's gonna get a 3 star for me. I'm very disappointed in that book, honestly, because I wanted to absolutely love it, and it is beautifully written. I think the plot just leaves something to be desired. I definitely think the second half of the book is much better than the first half, so I don't know if someone would want to push through 49% like I did to get to like where it gets good. But also if you like books within books, usually I do, I just didn't like it here. So I don't know, you'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you agree with that review or disagree with it, or how you felt about it, because I do know that some people really, really love this book. It just didn't fully work for me, so that's why I feel the way that I do about it. But that was my last roll that I did for Bookoplathon, which means I need to do another roll at some point. However, since I am going out of town this weekend, I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done. So I'm probably gonna roll for that here in a second and pick a book, but it might be the first clip you see in next week's vlog rather than seeing it in this week's vlog if I don't read any of that book. Also, I have 2 novellas to read. If you have been around here, then you know I am trying to read through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere in publication date order to catch up. And the book that I was supposed to read in August, I did not get to, because the collection of short stories he has is called Arcanum Unbounded, and my library's hold for it was really, really long. So I'm sure they have a physical copy that I could have gone and got, which at some point I will need to go to the library and start getting physical books again. But I usually do that at the beginning of the month and just get all the books that I have for my TBR that month. So since I haven't been making a TBR, that's why I haven't been doing that. But my hold for the ebook came in, so I need to read Elmancer Jack and the Cliffs of Hath Sen, I think. And I also need to read Mistborn: A Secret History, because one of those was supposed to be the book that I read last month, and one of them was supposed to be the book that I read this month. I think I can knock them both out this weekend. anytime that I have time to read, because they're both short. As it sounds, I think they're actually both set in the Mistborn world. So I'm excited to read those. So that's probably what I'm going to read next. I still have my ebook going of A Heart and a Body in the World. And that book is good. I'm still not sure what the like traumatic trigger of the book is. I have my suspicions at this point. I think I'm like 45% of the way through it, but nothing has been confirmed. But this book, I think I've already sort of mentioned what it's about, and I don't think I can say much more about it than that. It's about a girl who something happened to her a while ago, and one of her friends, it sounds like, and she has PTSD from whatever the incident is, and then something triggers her PTSD, and she decides that she's going to go on a cross-country run. And at the point of the book where I'm at, her grandfather has joined her on this run and is following her in his RV, which is something that happens in the synopsis, or that they tell you in the synopsis, so that's not a spoiler. But that's where I'm at with that book. I'm liking it, but it's also like one of those books where I'm not sure what direction it's going to go in, and I feel like it could either be really good or not as good for me. I'm gonna grab an eyeshadow palette, hold on. But anyways, that's pretty much the update. I just wanted to say that I finished one book. I am working on other books, and I will let you know, obviously, because I've been updating you regardless of whether it's a Bookoplathon thing or not. I will let you know how I feel about the short stories that I read. I will let you know how I feel about the audiobook once I finish it. And I don't know if I'm going to listen to it in the car. We haven't decided who's driving yet. If I'm driving, I will probably listen to it in the car and just finish it on the way up there. Or down there, I guess. Because it's like an 8.5 hour drive, and the audiobook is only 9 hours long, and I listen to my audiobooks on 2 times speed, so I should be done with it pretty soon. I think I only have like probably 2-ish hours left to listen to it. Less than that, probably. So I will let you know how I have updates, or when I have updates, and how I'm feeling about them as I do. But I just wanted to let you know where I'm at with reading currently. And the vlog from this point on probably won't have much talking in it. It will probably just be B-roll. But if I finish things, I will let you know how they are, probably. That's my plan. So I'll talk to you soon.
I have to go.
Where are you going?
It's my dad's birthday, and we go every year to pick a pineapple. It's the tradition.
That sounds nice. Okay, well, I had a great time.
Me too.
Okay.
Would you like to have breakfast together?
Hello, it is Saturday morning. We are in the hotel just getting ready, hanging out. But we're going to go like explore Nashville today, which is very exciting. But I did want to let you know that I finished A Heart and a Body in the World yesterday in the drive. And I'm giving it 5 stars. Hold on, I think I'm blurry. Is that better? I truly don't know. But this book was so good. And I genuinely like did not know what direction it was going in. Because the whole time you know that some sort of tragedy has happened, you just don't know what the tragedy is. And I don't know if I'm a dum-dum, but I did not figure it out until like towards the middle second half of the book, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly where I was because again I was listening to it as an audiobook while I was driving, but I did really like it. I'm giving it 5 stars, like I said. It was really impactful. I will say that there was a part in it that's I think is kind of cheesy, and I know that it's like supposed to be this deep serious topic, but certain things happen that they like take me out of like the reality of the book, because I'm like I just at that point feels like the author is a little bit on their pedestal and like just telling you what they think, which, you know, it is a serious topic and it is like a big issue that's happening, so I get it, but also I wish it hadn't been in there. So that's just me, but I will let you know if I have another update on anything else that I'm reading, and I will hopefully have some more B-roll for you of Nashville.